Hey everyone, my name is Alec, and welcome to this season's final edition of MASL Midweek. Well, here we are. The season is over, and my championship pick was incorrect, so let's go ahead and fix that right now. Yes, the San Diego Sockers have won their first championship in the MASL era. It was a fantastic series between them and the Fury, and really the entire playoffs was great, so we're definitely going to talk about that. But I also want to talk a little bit about my hopes for this offseason for the MASL. So let's jump right to it. Real quickly though, before we get into any of that, I do want to send my best wishes to DeLima. His injury in the mini game there was the scariest thing I've ever seen watching arena soccer, at least the scariest thing I can remember. Just seeing him land like that and lay there and the stretcher coming out, that was tough. So I was thrilled to see him stand up and walk off the field. My understanding is that even though it looked like it could have been a whole lot worse, he did suffer whiplash and a concussion, which are awful in themselves. So I certainly wish him the best in his recovery. I'm happy that he is okay. I hate to say that because the guy has a concussion, but as I said, when he first went down, I thought it was going to be a whole lot worse. So I wish him the best in his recovery, and I really hope to see him back on the field next season. He was an excellent goalkeeper this year. Now, in addition to me making a joke about my prediction as to who would be champion, the reason I wanted to wear my Comets jersey and my Sockers jersey is that these are the two teams I want to focus on when I break down the playoffs. A lot happened in these playoffs. They were fantastic series all around. I loved them. I don't have time to go over all the nuances of the games. So what I thought I would do is talk about my prediction and talk about what went wrong there, and talk about the actual champions and talk about what went right for them. Let's start off by talking about the Comets. The Comets, still a fantastic team. I mean, we saw it. Their series against the Fury was great, super competitive, lots of overtime in that series. So yes, very competitive, very good team. But what went wrong for them? Because leading up to that point, I was feeling very confident that this team was moving on to the championship, especially considering how easily they handled the ambush. Well, I think the issue came with how I analyzed this team. This team, I said, their defense is okay, but their offense is stellar. And while I think my first statement, that their defense is okay, I'm confident in that assessment, I think my assessment that their offense is stellar was a little bit off. Because I think their offense is stellar, but their offense was also spotty and kind of streaky. They would go through periods where they're just racking up goals, one after another in a game, and it makes it very difficult to come back. But what we saw during the series against the Fury was their offense can also go into long lulls. And yes, the Fury playing some excellent defense is a part of this, but I think a part of it also has to come down on the Comets' offense. I mean, in both of these games, they were up 3-0 at one point, and I believe they were up 4-1 in both of these games at some point as well. So the fact that their offense kind of stopped and plateaued at that point and allowed the Fury to come back into that game, that's definitely an issue with the offense that I hadn't really picked up on throughout the season. And if I'm able to find some time, I would like to go back and watch some of the Comets' previous games to see if their offense was as streaky as it was in the Fury series as well. As I said, in my head before the playoffs, I just thought about them having a great offense. Perhaps I missed the streaky aspect to it, so I'd like to go back and review that. As for the Sockers, though, the team that became champion, well, I'm not really that surprised, to be perfectly honest. The reason I had the Sockers being eliminated in, I believe, in the semifinals was because I thought their offense just hadn't been producing this season. But I had said it over and over again in this series. If the Sockers offense ever gets back on track, because we knew this offense was a ticking time bomb. We knew they had the ability to just light up the scoreboard. If they ever got onto track, this team was going to be dangerous. And that happened in the playoffs. Now, I still don't feel like their offense was at its highest level, to be perfectly honest. I feel like watching soccer's teams in the past, I've seen them be even more of an offensive force. But their offense during the postseason was definitely better than it was during the regular season. And considering how well their defense had been playing really through the regular and the postseason, they were in a great spot to win it all. On top of that, I also want to say that I think in the championship, a big reason they were able to win, especially game one, was mental toughness. To me, during game one, the Fury came out and they were full of energy, but it felt like that energy wasn't directed in a good way. Felt like they kind of let the excitement get to their head a little bit. They made some stupid mistakes. They let the Sockers build up an early lead, and from there, it was pretty much a lock for the Sockers to win. So I think the fact that the Sockers were able to keep their cool, not make any stupid mistakes, at least in game one, really helped them. I think in game two, we saw the Fury kind of get into a better mindset then. They were much more focused, much more precise, and that's why they won game two. And then game three, both teams just went at it. Unfortunately, there was the injury to De Lima. I think that did impact the trajectory of that game. I think he may have made the save on the Sockers' game-winning goal. But hey, we can play what ifs however much we want to. Ultimately, what happened is what happened. So the Sockers, as I said, their offense got on the track at the right time. They maintained their mental toughness as well, and that's why they hosted the Ron Newman Cup. Okay, so let's go ahead now and switch gears a little bit and talk about some hopes I have for this offseason for the league. And I'm not going to get too into depth with any of these. I'm only going to talk about 3 of them as well, because I do hope to maybe make some off-season content when I talk a little bit more in depth about some hopes and some thoughts I have about the league's future. My first hope is that the league expands its challenge system for the entire season. I liked watching the challenge system in the playoffs. I didn't think it was too time-consuming, and I really thought it added a certain level of validity to this league. I think the fact that they're able to do video review gives the league a certain level of professionalism and really makes them look like a true professional sport. So I love the challenge system. There might be some tweaks they make here and there. I'm totally open to those, but I do hope it's expanded for the entire season starting next year. My next hope, and I know this is kind of a weird hope to have, I hope the league does not add any true expansion teams this year. And what I mean by that is teams that do not exist in any form right now. There are some teams in M2 that, there's always kind of whispers about them moving up to the top division, Wichita and Cleveland, naming a few. I'm definitely open to those teams moving up to the first division, considering that they are already in existence, they already have the infrastructure there. But a brand new team with everything going on in the world right now, to me it just feels like that team would not be set up for success. They come into the league and have their first year with everything going on with the pandemic and all of that. I just don't think it makes sense to add an expansion team going into next year. Now, if the league wants to add an expansion team in the offseason and say they're not going to play until next season, the 2022-2023 season, we could talk about that. But I don't want to see any truly new teams in the league next season. I just don't think those teams would be set up for success. And my final hope for this offseason, and it's something we've all been wishing for a long time. I want better communication from the league and from its teams. Some individual teams do a fine job with this, others not so much. But considering that we're in a period right now of a lot of uncertainty, and I know we've been saying that for the past year, but by golly, we are still in this period of uncertainty. We're going to move into next season. It's going to be in the fall. Who knows what's going to happen with the pandemic? Hopefully there'll be a lot of vaccinations by then, but there's a chance it spikes again in the fall. So it's a lot of uncertainty regarding how next season is going to go. And I understand the teams themselves don't know either. But I just want to see some form of communication between the league, the teams, and the fans, so that we all kind of know what is going on. Even some Facebook post or tweet that doesn't really have any real substance to it, just kind of a fun fact or a fun little question for the fans. Just something so that we know the team is still alive and breathing and all of that. That would make me feel so much better than having some of these teams where their social media just goes dead for long periods of time. Now, of course, ideally, those communications would actually be about the next season. But as I said, I understand the teams themselves don't really know that. And honestly, I'd even be cool if they said that. If they even touched base and said every now and then, we're still working towards next season. We don't have any definitive information yet, but we're still working towards it. I'd be okay with that. I would take it. That's still communication. It's better than what we have right now. But my big point is, in case you couldn't pick up on it, I want more communication with the fans. And with that, I think I can wrap this episode up. But thank you so much for watching. While you're here, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the Inside the Arena channel. And I will see you next time. Hopefully that's sometime in the off season, but if not, it'll definitely be next season. See you then.